Peace. It's another episode on Question Everything. So this one, I don't know why, but I just woke up this morning and I felt like I had to speak more in depth with the subject. So today, we are going to question sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis. Now, for those that don't know what sleep paralysis, do your research. No, I'm joking. Definitely do your research, but I'm gonna give you the pretty basics of it. All right. Sleep paralysis ties into having an out-of-body experience, having astral travel experience. When I first, got on YouTube, it was mainly about my own experiences astral projecting out my physical body. Now this, like I said before, if you've been watching my videos, you will know that I always stated about sleep paralysis because that is the beginning stage that your physical body goes through before stepping into something spiritual. Okay, it's real deep. I know it sounds crazy, for some of those people out there that had the experience, you know what I'm talking about. And for those that never had the experience and just curious and intrigued with the information, like I said, just do your research. It's real deep. So basically, sleep paralysis, I stated this in many of my videos. I just thought it would be right if I just go more in depth on it, right? Sleep paralysis is when it's a natural thing that your body does, okay? But it's sleep paralysis ties into your dream state. So when you having a dream, your body won't act out the dream. So as you sleeping, you're not acting out your dream. You might be running or you might be jumping. I've had those experiences because when I used to be a little kid, when I was in junior high school, I was real big into gymnastics. I was like a daredevil. I was that type of kid that would climb a fence and flip backwards over it. Do like 20 handsprings in a row and tucks and twists. I used to flip over tables and stuff. Like, I was crazy when I was a kid. But I was always like, I'm into sports. I played basketball heavy, football, of course, a little bit of baseball, but gymnastics. When I was in junior high school, I was really deep in it. So it would be times that I would have dreams that I would be flipping, and I remember like jerking in my bed, like as I was actually doing a handspring. So basically, that's what sleep paralysis does. Sleep paralysis shuts down your body and lets your consciousness journey, but without acting it out. I'm pretty sure some people out there had that experience. It could have been like a nightmare or something, or like a wicked dream you had, like something was about to hit you and you jerked, and you actually jerked out of the bed. That's happened to me a lot. So, but sleep paralysis, before going to an astral travel state, an out-of-body experience state, it's basically your body is asleep, but your consciousness is awake. Okay, and it also ties into lucid dreaming. It means you're having a dream, but you're actually conscious within your dream. You know what's going on. See, that's the thing about dreams that people kind of tend to throw off. And it's like saying, you wake up out of this dream, you have this amazing experience, an amazing dream, and you go, hey, listen, man, I had this crazy dream last night. As soon as you say the word dream, because, you gotta understand, we are all programmed, right? Certain words can program your mental, your psyche. So if someone was to say, hey, I had this dream last night, the person that you're telling it to is going to automatically say to themselves, okay, it's not real, it really didn't happen, but let me hear the experience, you know. And I think that's the biggest mistake. And the biggest secret in life is that, you know, the biggest secret in life is that we go in and out these realities every day. All of us. All of us. It's just that some people are more conscious than others. And I always say that. Some people are more conscious than others. You know, some people could remember their dreams. Some people had profound dreams. Some people had predicted things in dreams. So to say to yourself, it's not real, you know, you're just making the big mistake on understanding your power and your ability. And that's why I always say, you know, I make these videos about astral traveling and stuff like that, and it makes me sound like, you know, you really follow me and listen to my stories, and, you know, me speaking of flying and lightning bolts out my hand, it makes me sound like I'm just this superhero or this person with this special ability. And that's not really the case. It's we all possess it. It's just that some people are more in tune with it. I just so happen to be one of those individuals that are in tune with this ability, and I understand it, you know, and I'm still growing, I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to understand it. So back to sleep paralysis, like I said, it's when your body is asleep, but your mind and your consciousness is awake. And like I said, it's a very, and if you out there and you had experienced it, it's a very scary experience. Like I said before, this information is not taught in religious books. This information is not taught in school. It's not taught in churches, synagogues, and mosques. You know, it's not, you know, put out there in the social media or the news. You know, it's not talked about it through entertainment. You know, far as actors coming out and entertainers and sports players and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure all these individuals had some type of experience. I mean, there is, you know, it is taught to us in entertainment far as movies. You know, and that's why I'm always referring to a movie, because, you know, like I always say, Hollywood always put the information out. It's just that some people just don't grasp it. They just think it's just a movie just for entertainment, to entertain you. And this is why you have all these Marvel movies coming out, far as superheroes and villains and, you know, abilities, having special powers. Because this type of information is coming out more and more, but very little and very secretive. There are a few people on YouTube that speaks about it. I mean, when I was going through it, that's how I was doing my research. I was listening to other people's experiences and comparing them to mine, and realizing that I wasn't the only one out there having this experience. So sleep paralysis is very deep. It's very deep. You're dealing with the body. The body, you know, it's a living entity of its own, you know, of billions of cells that makes up the body. And these are living cells that constantly grow and die. But people that have to understand that you are not this physical shell. Okay, you are occupying this physical shell for a certain amount of time to gain this human experience in this third dimensional planet Earth. Okay, you signed up for it. You're in the game. You're in the matrix. So now the only way you could get out this game is, you know, when you pull the plug, pretty much. You know, some people commit suicide, and I don't condone that. Or some people just have natural deaths, or some people, you know, live their time they supposed to live, and then they go. So it's basically, you know, you're just living this experience, and this is what happens with dreams. That's why I said they say dreams is not real, but they are real as you sitting down watching me on this video. They are very real, as well as imaginations. Every thought is, it's electrical charge that, your brain gives off. Everything starts off with, a thought. And I've always said that, everything starts with a thought. It's real. See, people, they say real because they need to see something physical all the time, and that's not the case. Thoughts is very real. Imaginations is real. Dreams are real. So, sleep paralysis. And I also want to speak about the stages that I went through, because this is all ties into sleep paralysis. And with my experience, every time when I go through sleep paralysis, I always speak about a vibration that goes through my head, right? I always speak about I couldn't move. I felt paralyzed. I had so much fear. And that's what happens. You're very paralyzed. You can't move, but you're so conscious. And because of that reaction, it automatically causes fear because it's like the realm of the unknown, So I also want to speak about the levels that I've been on, as far as actual traveling across the board and where I'm at now. My actual traveling experiences are also connected with the stresses that I went through in life. It has to deal with something that my consciousness or my higher self is trying to show me, like, okay, you're gonna go through some crazy shit, but don't get caught up too much in this reality because none of this stuff is really real. None of this stuff is really real. So, my higher self, opened that portal for me to see and show me that it is more to life than this physical realm. That this is just, you just having this experience, you're here, and then you're gone. But it doesn't mean that you die, because you will never die. You live forever. There's no such thing as death. The only thing that's gonna die is your physical body, but your soul, your spirit, the entity that you actually are, your light, your fire, whatever you want to call it, is within this vehicle, is the real you. And we are all connected at the same time because we all come from the same source. And I don't want to put out there like there's no creator, no God. It has to be some type of creator that created all this. But somehow, we are all connected to this source. Okay? But speaking about my experiences, I want to go through the levels what I went through. The very earliest time that I could remember having a sleep paralysis and out-of-body experience, and like I said, it's one of my early videos. It's probably like number one or number two. I spoke about it on Actual Travel. I was like 7 years old. Like I said before, I was taken away from my mom's when I was 7. Went through foster care and all that. And that was the first time, this is the earliest time I can remember having these experiences. I was sleeping on the couch and I was awakened by the sleep paralysis. The vibration, I couldn't move. And like I always stated, the vibration sounds like a washing machine in my head. It's like a vibration sound is very powerful. And basically you feel it through your whole body. But mostly here in the third eye. So like I was 7 years old, I had these experiences, and I'll say this was the first stage for me, because it was just far as the sleep paralysis stage. And I will always fight it. So for me, this will be the first stage of this amazing journey that I've been on. And from the earliest, like I said, from the earliest memory I can remember was 7 years old, all the way into my, adolescence ages and teenage. I will always have these sleep paralysis experiences, but I would never let it fully blossom. I would never fully let it go through. I would always panic and fear. It was always the same thing, or panic and fear, and I try to break out of it, and somehow I always did. So that was the first stage. It was just that sleep paralysis stage of not be able to move, feeling totally paralyzed, but fully conscious of, you could be, your body's basically dead, shut down, but you up and you can hear what's going on. Like I say, if you had someone had a TV on, or maybe you left the TV on, or someone's walking around you and having a conversation, and you can actually, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, what's wrong with me? You like trying to call their names and you can't speak, and it becomes fearful, So that was the first stage for me. So through those years, I would have these experiences, but never told nobody. I've never told anybody. I always kept it to myself. I just thought it was tied into just having a nightmare. Like, this ain't real. This is just a dream, right? Because I'm so programmed thinking that dreams are not real. So that was like the first stage. Second stage, I'm gonna say, I would have the sleep paralysis state, and I will open my astral eyes and see into the astral realm, which I call the fourth dimension, because everything looks the same. So for me, that was like the second stage, because I was able to see within the hidden veil. And as I was able to do this, I would see certain entities and certain things that I just can't explain, So that was like the second stage. So I was able to open my astral eyes and see into this realm. And then, of course, that's when I started seeing these shadow beings. And for those that know what shadow beings, I have a video on Question Everything, basically speaking upon shadow beings, a part 1 and a part 2. And you could just, Google it, YouTube it, and you'll see so much information on it. So I was able to see these entities. Nothing but fear. It used to scare the hell out of me. I used to be so afraid. And now at this stage, of course, I didn't tell nobody. You just can't have these conversations with just anybody. Like, hey, I went through this mental state, and I saw a shadow person next to my bed. It's just, I just didn't share it. I just kept it to myself. And like, that was the second stage for me. And at that stage also, it got scarier because I would actually interact with these shadow beings. I mean, it's been times that they grabbed me, they touched me, they inflicted pain on me. I always seen them hovering their hands over me, and it was always more than one. It was always 3. And if you watch my videos, you will notice that it was always 3 of them. I couldn't understand it. I didn't understand why. I was looking for answers and couldn't find them. So that's what led me to this research of finding out the truth and finding out what is the hidden, what is not being told. So that was like the second stage. So the third stage for me was, I would actually go through this sleep paralysis state, open my astral eyes, see these entities, but then I was able to leave my physical body. Okay? And around this time, I could kind of give you a time period when this really happened to me. It was around 2012. That's when I started documenting my astral travel and experiences, because it was happening so much to me. It was happening once or twice a month. So, I knew I was onto something. I knew something was up. I just had to, figure it out. But at that time, around 2012, 2013, that's when the experiences of astral traveling just got crazy. So it went to me actually leaving my physical body. And it's been times I could see my physical body still laying in the bed with my girl still in the bed. Because like I said, the fourth dimension, everything is the same. It's times that I didn't see my physical body, but I know it's there because I can feel it. It's very hard to explain. It's like you're separated, but you're still connected at the same time. which is so weird. So that was like the third stage. So I was able to actually leave my physical body, but I was into this fourth dimension where everything looked the same. And this is when it got a little better for me at that time, because I felt like I was able to protect myself and face my fears, because this is when I was actually battling these shadow beings, entities. And every time I actually left my body and I would see them, I would automatically go in attack mode because of fear and not understanding, what this realm is. So that stage was very powerful for me. So that was like the third stage. So I was able to actually leave my body and actually to protect myself, pretty much, and realizing how powerful I was, because these entities were afraid of me. Like all these years, I was scared of them, but it's just, that's the level that I was on. I was still having these fears, still, even still to my last experience that I had. I think I posted probably 39. I think I posted 39 times I've astral traveled, documented since 2012. Like I said before, I've had many of them, as far as dealing with the sleep paralysis state, that's still dealing with astral traveling, just because you fully haven't separated out your body, but you're into that realm. Once you go into that sleep paralysis state, you open your astral eyes, you're there. It feels like you just, in a third dimensional regular, just laying in your bed, but you're actually in this another dimension. So that was the third stage for me. The fourth stage, now this is when it got powerful, because the fourth stage is when I was actually in tune with my abilities. Okay, this is when I started doing my research, finding out what type of abilities that I could do once I'm in this state. And of course, the first thing is flying, right? Flying was, and it still is, the most amazing, profound feeling when in the astral body. Okay, it's just amazing experience, right? So that's when I begin to, tap into my abilities, and then I'll be able, in this stage, the fourth stage, I was able to go into a higher dimension, which I call the fifth dimension. The fifth dimension is how I describe it and how I say it, that is higher, because it's a total different landscape. It's a place that I've never been. It's a place that I've never saw. It's very heavenly. It's beautiful. The energy is so powerful. It's so filled with love that it's so hard to describe the feeling. It's the best feeling I think you can ever feel. And this is where, what most of these religious texts speak upon heaven, and where you will go after you leave this physical body. And like I said, this topic is very powerful, because eventually you're going to enter these realms, no matter how you like it or not, no matter if you think I'm crazy or not. Just always remember, one day that clock is going to stop, and you're going to actually leave your physical body, and you're going to enter these higher realms that I've been speaking about. I mean, that's why it's a good thing to educate yourself, so you already be prepared. Like me, I'm not worried. Once I leave this physical body, I already pretty much know what to do. I already know what to expect, because I've been there already. Like I stated before, I did an astral traveling video, and I spoke about this book that I had read about this doctor that ended up in a coma. And he said, I think the book is called Is Heaven Real? And everything that he described in his book about this heavenly place is the same thing what I described in my personal journal. So to come to say, like, yes, I've been to heaven, if that's the name you want to give it, to express or explain or describe this experience. Yes, I've been to heaven. it is real. The higher realms exist. And the first time I actually flew in an astral traveling experience is when I was in that fifth dimension. I visit that fifth dimension. I will never forget it. It was like it was yesterday. That memory of that it will always stay with me, and I will always hold on to that. It was just a beautiful experience that I had. The grass and the trees and the water, everything was just so much brighter. There was beautiful music. There was these crystal pyramids shooting rainbows in the sky. I was flying. I met this entity that looked like a blue bean. I met this other entity that I done seen in many of my dreams, and and he always, it was that famous quote that he had said to me. I said, I'm here, to see my mom. I went to see my father because both of them were, they crossed over already, hoping I could see them there. And he said, why are you asking about your mother and father, but you're not asking about the one that truly created you? And then after he said that, I was right back into my physical body. So that was the fourth stage for me. The fourth stage. And like I said, it's been a crazy long journey, but it all ties into sleep paralysis, or my experiences. Like I stated in other videos, some people can have an astral travel and experience through meditation. Some people have astral travel and experience when they're in a coma or when they're on an operating table. There's many cases, man. You just do the research on it. It's not hard to find. There's so many people out in this world that had these experiences. So yeah, that was the fourth. That was like the fourth stage that I'm at. So the stage that I'm at now, I call it this fifth stage. This fifth stage is the most difficult one, only because I say this, because I don't have these experiences as often that I used to. I used to have it, like I said, once a month. I mean, if you go into my my YouTube page and you start from the bottom and look at the videos that I did in my astral traveling experiences, I dated them. I put the date in the year. And as you can see, when I was having these experiences, and as you can actually see, it was as I became more knowledge of it, the experience, it became less. It's like, it's like stages. It's like a video game. It gets harder as you keep, going up, or the more conscious you get. So the fifth stage is where I'm at now, is trying to figure out how to do this at will, how to have this experience whenever I want. Because when I first started having, like I said, from 7 years old all the way to like 2012, I would have these experiences, and because of my fear, I didn't want to have this experience. I used to think that I was cursed. I used to think that, I was, demons are after me. And, what am I doing wrong? Like, just reflecting on my life and my surroundings and where I'm at in life now. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't want to have these experiences. But as I started doing my research, and once I started conquering my fears, and once I started understanding what was really going on, it became something fearful became so, amazing. Because like I said, I had these abilities, and it's just amazing to, to have them and then also share it with the world. So now I'm at the stage that it's like, because I'm so trained, well, not so trained, but like I said, I'm still learning. I'm so with it now. Now I'm like, okay, now I know what to expect, but now it's like, it's not happening no more, so now it's harder. And like I stated in my last astral traveling experience, it kind of throws you off because it doesn't happen as much, and it's like riding a bike, It's like, you got to get used to it. But if it happens so much, it'll become more easier for you because you'll know what to expect. But because I haven't had it for a long period of time, it kind of throws me off. So that's where the level I'm at now. I'm at that 5th stage that I'm still trying to figure out, what causes it. How can I, hold on to the experience long? Because I've had experiences, they're very short. How can I prolong the experience? How can I focus more? And, how can I reach that 5th dimension like I did before? How can I reach there? How can I go there at will? Because it was just amazing place. It's just amazing place. Yeah, and I mean the proof is there, and that's the thing too. I think that becomes the hardest part about talking about this subject is trying to prove it. Prove that it's real. Some people probably looking at this video and be like, "How do I believe you? Like you could have just be making this up." But for those that know me, they know I'm not making this up because they know me. They know the type of individual that I am. I'm a real one. I'm real. I always keep it real. It's just, there's something that I experienced, and it took years for me to speak about it. And like I said, speaking about it was therapy for me, and it made it more comfortable to speak about it. Even getting on YouTube, I wasn't comfortable coming on YouTube to speak to you guys. I wasn't comfortable, and I could actually show you how I wasn't uncomfortable. If you look at my early videos, you will see I put like a black and white effect. Like, you can't really see my face, but you can see my face. You don't really know who I am. But as I started getting more comfortable with it, it's like I'm gonna show my face. I'm gonna show what I am and who I really am. I'm a multi-dimensional being, and so are you. You are a multi-dimensional being. You don't just journey in this 3rd dimensional world that deals with negativity, war, politics, murder, racism, sexism, and all the other negative things that come with it. But it has some beauty in it as well. It has some beauty in this room as well. When you look at nature, when you look at individuals that are very positive, people that are very loving, your ancestors, your mothers, your fathers, your grandmothers and grandfathers, the beautiful experiences that we have in this realm. But you have to understand that this is not the only realm that you're dwelling in right now. Every night when you go to sleep, you are tapping into other realms. You just don't remember. It's just that maybe you can't remember. And like I always say, I dream every day. I have to wake up and remember my dream every day. It's like I live 2 lives, multiple lives. And that's why I said I am a multi-dimensional being. And shout out to Seth Dark Arts. He speaks about it heavily, about being a multi-dimensional being. And like I always stated with books, you need to check out Seth Speaks, with Jane Roberts. I have the book, and I speak about how, there's many books out there that speak about how we are multi-dimensional beings. So I'm gonna make this part 1. I want to make it too long. Like I said, I don't like making videos too long, but I just want to share to you and open your mind to something called sleep paralysis. All right, because the next video, we're gonna go a little deeper. We're gonna go a little deeper on the subject of sleep paralysis. Just question it, because we all go through it. It's what your body does to make sure you don't act out your dreams. But sometimes your body gets locked in, but your consciousness is still awake. So, I'm gonna leave on this note. Till we meet again. Like I keep saying, remember your dreams. Write down your dream log. Keep a dream log. Me, I've stopped writing my dreams. It's like every day. I think I have like tons of books. So I dream every day. So if it's like a real powerful, profound dream, then I'll write it down. Especially if it's something that I predicted. And like I told before, I've had those experiences, having dreams and making predictions that are actually played out in this third dimension. So yeah, but it all starts off with sleep paralysis. All right. So until we meet again, I'm gonna say peace, love, and journey well.
What a lot of people don't understand is disembodied souls roam this planet because they're trapped here because they were too material. And when they passed, they couldn't get out. And they have to stay here until they fuse out. And they use people's life. And they keep channeling through people. And this is how they prolong their stay on this plane. Right? Oftentimes, we go into a state referred to as sleep paralysis, when we're very rested, but we can't go directly into slumber. So we go into a semi-slumber state. We think we're awoke, but we are paralyzed and conscious. And this is the best avenue or best plane from which these beings can touch you. You follow? And what defends you is a serum in your body called adrenaline. It repels them because it blocks the blood. Because when the person becomes afraid, their body goes into a defense. And the white corpuscles, white blood cells, and red blood cells get ready to defend the body. And it calls on the telephone and speaks to the inner chamber of the blood and says, hemoglobin, call the plasma and tell them to get ready. I'm serious. And it takes a message. And this is the nerve system, which has a link to the brain and has its own intelligence center, sending all these messages that something is about to happen. The first thing it does is it sends up a serum that shoots into the dermis, just above the epidermis, the lowest layer of skin. And it creates little bumps on the body. That's called some fear bumps. They raise. They are creating a defense or a cushion against an attack. There's a link between you and that blood, and those disembodied souls who can get to the blood to breathe. That's why they try to possess people, for the blood. That's why in all their spooky movies, Dracula wants the blood. In all the Satanic so-called churches, it's always a blood sacrifice. In the ancient scriptures, they're cutting up goats and giving blood. And God smells the sweet savor of the burning offering, the blood on the altar. These disembodied souls feel connected to the blood. You hear what I'm saying? So when you go into that state of sleep paralysis, beings are trying to get you. Has nothing whatsoever to do with joining, other than the fact that you probably said, this happened when I started joining. And he goes, yeah, that's when it started happening. It starts creating, it becomes a reality. You're looking for a solution so that you can get rid of it. If you go back to when it started happening, trace who you came in contact with, did you move rooms, did you change the direction you sleep in, anything, start putting the pieces together, you'll see where it really came in at. Beings are trying to get to you. Now here's the best part about it. If they could, they would have. If they could have gotten you, they would have done it by now. They're waiting for you to get weaker and weaker. And by not sleeping, your body becomes weaker and weaker. And your resistance gets weaker and weaker. And they think they can pounce down them. You follow what I'm saying? But they can't. Unless you let them in. That's why they tell you Dracula can't get in the house unless you invite him. In every movie. See, they can't get in unless you invite them. And they're trying to weaken you through fear of the unknown, the lack of sleep, until you say, something help me. Anybody help me. And they'll knock right on that door and walk in. Overcome them.